So I finally tested GPT-5 for some actual work. So here's some things I like about it and some massive issues I discovered. And in the end, I'll talk about how we get around those issues. So for those who are new, hi, my name is Kushank, and I'm one of the leading voices for practical AI. So ChatGPT-5 was a new flagship model launched by OpenAI.
What's the difference between before and after? And I'm curious how much stuff do you put into the system?
Think of this as a new iPhone launch, but except it was a launch from iPhone 8 to iPhone 10. It was supposed to be groundbreaking with big leaps and bounds in technology, but the launch was a disaster. There's been so much backlash ever since the launch. People are calling it bait and switch, and a lot of power users have been publicly voicing that they're canceling their plans. So what could have gone so terribly wrong? So there's 3 reasons why this launch came crashing down. Number 1, overhype. Sam Altman has been hyping GPT-5 for months. He's been calling it the closest they've ever been to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. He's been saying that it's going to have such a big impact on the job market and how good the new model is at coding, so we're going to enter a fast fashion era for software. But after the launch, the results didn't really meet the expectations. A lot of people didn't like the results they were getting, and in fact called the model a regression. Fun fact, the only guy who actually predicted this failure was Bill Gates. About a year ago in an interview, Bill Gates said that AI has hit a plateau and GPT-5 launch is gonna be nothing more than a modest update. In retrospect, it could not have been more accurate. So is he really a prophet? Anyway, moving on to reason number 2. Okay, the new model sucks. We'll just keep on using the previous models. But OpenAI made a decision that backfired big time. They decided to deprecate all previous models and only have GPT-5 and GPT-5 thinking, which users did not appreciate. A lot of users appreciated the GPT-4 model for most generic tasks, O3 model for a lot of thinking tasks, 4.5 model for some creative writing. They liked the control they had over different models and the performance they were getting out of those models. GPT-5, even though the intention was good, you don't have to select between different models if you don't know which model is good for what. You just have one standard model and you can keep using it. But sadly for power users, they didn't like the decision that all the models were taken away from them overnight without any notice. And the fact that OpenAI imposed new usage limits on this new model did not help either, which is the number 3 reason for this disastrous launch. So previously as a free user, you could use ChatGPT for a model anywhere between 10 to 60 times every 5 hours, depending on how busy the servers were. But after GPT-5 launch, they're only limiting the use of GPT-5 model to 10 messages per 5 hours.
How dare you!
Which is insane because you can't really get a lot of work done with those messages. And if you have to retweak your prompts multiple times, you're not gonna get anywhere. But it doesn't mean that after those 10 messages, you wouldn't be able to use ChatGPT at all. You'll be able to use it, but GPT-5 mini model, which is arguably comparable to GPT-5 3.5, so not that good. So you might as well go use Claude or Gemini and get access to a more powerful model. All right, let's move on. So here's some things I found when I tested GPT-5 for some actual work. So I've been throwing a lot of shade on GPT-5 so far, so let's give some credit where it's due. GPT-5 with web search enabled is lightning fast. Let's just say I'm gonna search up what do you know about digitalSamaritan, the content creator. So I'm gonna do this with web search enabled, and look how quickly it's gonna search the web. It's gonna pull all the sources and create the information. Boom. It's pulling up some of the TikTok stuff, some images, who the person is, social persona, platforms, content educational sources, entrepreneurial journey, a unique blend, and then some YouTube highlights. How quickly it went through a bunch of sources, gathered the information, synthesized it, and presented us with the result. I'm very impressed with the technology behind the speed. So they definitely get a lot of brownie points for the speed of search in this update. Then I tried figuring out the difference between GPT-5 and GPT-5 thinking, see which one's gonna get better results. For a lot of strategic brainstorming work, it seems like GPT-5 thinking model significantly outperforms just regular GPT-5 model. So here, I'm not going any fancy prompting. I just wanted to see, add some churn signals to my product so I can practically save the churn. What kind of churn signals should I be looking for? When I ran this prompt with just regular GPT-5, the results I got were okay, but they were quite basic. But when I ran the same prompt with GPT-5 thinking, did some thinking for 21 seconds, which is not that long. Again, the speed was pretty good. And then the results I got were a lot more practical, a lot more actionable, and a lot more concise. I ran a few more of these experiments, so it's safe to assume that for a lot of strategic brainstorming work, GPT-5 with thinking is far superior than just GPT-5. But then I discovered a massive problem, which makes ChatGPT kind of unusable at times. After running this prompt a few times with or without thinking model, I wanted to try something else. Then I went to a different project just to help me refine some of the hook for this video. And I was like, hey, thinking about doing a video on this topic, can you help me reframe for the global identity and the personality I'm building this brand for? And then it thought for 13 seconds, and then look at this response. It's talking about no login for 714 days as a safety net, segmenting the rule, new users, active users, cap frequency. For the first few seconds, I was like, what the hell is going on? Then I realized it's actually referring to the conversation I had in a previous chat in a different project. So we're having some data contamination issue, which honestly should be unacceptable for a company that is valued at $500 billion with 800 million users. They should have tested this well before launching it. So I posted about this on my TikTok, and it turns out I was not the only one. A lot of people are facing this issue. And the fix is to go to your ChatGPT settings, then under personalization, just disable your reference chat history, which is kind of annoying because the whole idea of reference chat history was just so that you can make ChatGPT a lot more personalized. But I guess this is a bug that they need to fix. And until then, it's kind of broken and annoying and frustrating. Okay, then I wanted to test the coding capabilities. ChatGPT 5 seems to be hitting all the benchmarks, but I don't really care about the benchmarks. They're not really meant for everyday users like you and I. We're gonna test this with real example to see how well it performs. I wanted to just test how well it would handle a basic just website building without any backend or front-end functionality, and then compare it with popular vibe coding tools and see which one does a better job. So here I shared the reference design. So basically I can match my website design and then gave details about what to add on the landing page. I was genuinely impressed with the speed it generated the code and also the thoughtful questions it asked so it can actually bring the task to completion. For example, for this landing page, it asked me if there's any announcement date, if there's any CTA I should be adding to the button. So this was a Google Forms link. And then it was asking me what things I should be adding to FAQ, if there's anything else, or if this certain date that was mentioned was the right date. So I like those little things. I think it helps you think clearer and like kind of bring the project to completion. And then when I ran the code, this was the design I got. It's not bad. I mean, clearly you can tell these days it's very like just from the UI components library, it is a very vibe coded design. It's trying to bring some of those colors from the design, but overall design layout is not exactly the same. But design itself is not too bad. It's like, pretty much covers all the things we wanted to cover. Not bad, not bad. But then I was like, okay, let's test the same on a vibe coding tool and see how well that performs. So again, I added the same description and the same screenshot for design reference, and the design here worked a lot more better. I mean, again, you can still find the similarities between the two design, but it was able to incorporate more of that initial design that we had in the reference. So even though the coding's pretty good, and there's some really good feedback about the Codex tool with the new GPT-5 model, but like just a quick test for everyday users might still have an edge. So these were basically my first thoughts after actually trying to use GPT-5 for some actual work. So now let's look at some of the problems and how we can fix them. So number one, I know a lot of people like the 4.0 model, they still want to use it. So there's a way you can still use it. After all the backlash, the company was actually forced to bring the legacy model again. So to access the model, all you got to do is just go to your settings, and then under general, you'll have an option to toggle show legacy models. So once you do that, under the drop down, you go to legacy models, you'll be able to see the 4.0 model again. But the caveat is, this is only possible for the Plus and Pro users. If you're on a free plan, you will not be able to access 4.0 model anymore. I know, it's a bummer.
No, God, please, no!
We've already talked about how to fix a cross-contamination of memory issue by just turning off your reference chats. And number three is getting good results. A lot of people are complaining that ChatGPT 5 results are not as good as previous models, but that can actually be fixed with prompting. So one of the features they're selling for GPT-5 is that it is very good at following the instructions. And there's a bunch of guides already published on how to prompt GPT-5 so you can actually unlock the best out of AI. And all these guides have a common theme. So they all mention susceptibility to instruction style. ChatGPT 5, as I just mentioned, is highly responsive to the structure of your prompts. So you gotta be very explicit about the tone and style you're looking for, use consistent formatting, and define your expectations clearly. It's like having an employee that is really good at their job, but they will do exactly what you tell them to do. Then people talk about having different structures in your prompts. For example, asking it to do some pre-execution reasoning, then planning, having some validation, and then post-action review. Long story short, you gotta focus on your prompts to unlock the best out of GPT-5. That being said, I feel like my entire entrepreneurial journey has been meant for this moment.
Nice.
We've been building Prompt Genie for past 2.5 years, and a lot more people are using it now compared to 2 years ago. And it makes total sense because we all need better prompting. So for those who are not familiar, let me show you a quick demo because it's going to also help you fix your GPT-5 prompts. So essentially, it's a prompt management and optimization platform we've been building for non-technical users. For example, there's any AI task I want to do. Maybe I want to prioritize feature ideas for my app to improve my conversion rates. So once you just type your task, you can pick your algorithm. So primer is the fastest one. It's like more for like more regular tasks. For this one, I'm gonna either go amplifier or mastermind just because this task is a bit more strategic. Let's just do amplifier. So I'm just gonna optimize prompt. So in a few seconds, it's gonna create a super prompt to get the best out of AI for that task. So here, let's look at our prompting structure. Here, we're asking it to assume the role of product strategy consultant specializing in conversion rate optimization. The task is to help prioritize feature ideas for the app to improve the conversion rate. You will analyze the app description, conversion rate data, feature ideas to provide a strategic prioritization with clear justifications. First, we're gonna provide the information about the app. We're gonna provide all the data it needs, and then it's gonna analyze the feature ideas based on the following criteria. It's gonna look at the conversion impact. How directly will this feature address the current conversion bottlenecks, implementation effort? It's gonna go into the user value, competitive advantage, then data, if there's any data that can support it, give it a priority score, and justification for the impact for the conversion. And there's the output format it talks about. So instead of us just kind of like throwing just 2-sentence prompts, now we're giving it a lot more to work with, which is exactly what GPT-5 wants. Once I add the details I want to add, I can just save this prompt for later use or to share with my team. So I'm just gonna quickly save the prompt, and then let's say I'm starting a new chat a month from now. I got new feature ideas. I'm just gonna go here, saved prompts. I'm just gonna search for feature prioritization, and boom, my prompt's right there. Honestly, it's got a generous free plan, so go give it a try and see if it's actually helping you get better results from your GPT-5. The best part is the fewer iterations you need for your prompt, the easier will it be for you to not burn through your GPT-5 usage limits. Honestly, there's a generous free plan. I'll leave the link in the description, so just give it a try and see if it actually helps you get the best out of AI. As always, thanks for tuning in. I hope this video was useful, and if this video helped you level up your AI skills even a little bit, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'll see you next time. Until then, signing off, your Chief AI Officer.